Boston Marathon 2025. This is our pre-race info and some course tips and tricks that you need to know for the upcoming 2025 Boston Marathon. First off, congratulations to all the runners that have achieved this goal. A major, major milestone for a lot of people here. I would tell you to enjoy the day, have fun, and let's dive into some of the specifics that you need to know here. Before we do that, make sure you like, subscribe, share, do all that good stuff. If you need any coaching help or any course breakdown specifics for you individually, please reach out. The contact info is down below. So this is our main landing page here, the Boston Athletic Association. Main page that you are going to find the most information on is this race info one. As we scroll down, you'll see a host of things that I would highly encourage you to just peruse through. We got loads of time leading up to the race here to kind of get a handle on everything. First up is gear check, bus to start, allowable items, the start area, the finish area, and as we scroll down here, it gets even more juicy. Things like the Expo, the Fan Fest, party time, which everyone should want to know about, and the finish line entertainment. Scrolling down here, we have the course down here, newsletters, catch up on all the latest news for our official participant. It's an official participant newsletter. We also have the team competition, all host of good stuff, quick links here. Athlete amenities are listed here. Also stay connected. Highly recommend you download the app there. So that's the main landing page. Going over to the Expo. This is what will pop up when you get there. Dates of the Expo are Friday, April 18th, Saturday the 19th, and Sunday the 20th. Friday is 10 to 7, Saturday 9 to 7, and Sunday is 9 to 6 here. It's open and free to the public, so make sure you do go, even if you aren't racing. It's a really, really cool time here. Dates and locations. It is going to be located at the John B. Hayes Veterans Memorial Convention Center at 900 Boylston Street in Boston. You can see the highlights, the bib number, race packet, t-shirt pickup. Click there and you will be loaded up into this page, and you'll also be able to reproduce your digital number packet pickup pass. Click there and you will be located to this area. Just enter all your stuff. Mobile version, PDF version are both listed there. Scrolling down back at our Expo area here, Friday, April 12th, things kick off at noon here. We have a really cool thing that I highly recommend you check out. Next up at 1 p.m. we have the beer for the finish. 2 p.m. we got Ali on the Run live podcast. 3 is Women in the World of Running. 4 is 10 Years with Meb, hosted by Not Meb. 5 p.m. is All Things Inclusivity. Saturday, April 13th, 9:15, a Runner's Life podcast, Chasing the Unicorn happens. 10 a.m., Aging Strong. Noon is the Traditions and Lore. 1 is Inspiring the Next 40 Years. 2 is 50 plus years of running the Boston Marathon. And on Saturday at 3 p.m., one of the highly anticipated panels is 3 p.m. where Meet the U.S. Pros. Emma Bates, Sarah Hall, a couple other people are going to be there as well. 4 p.m. is Meet the Champions. We'll have my favorite, Des Lind, in there. With a couple other people. And then at 5, you'll have the new U.S. Olympians panel, which is going to be really, really cool as well. Sunday, April 14th, last Expo day, you have a couple of cool things like Para Pros. That's at 11 a.m. At noon, you got the Boston Marathon Legends panel. Really, really cool stuff. Wheelchair Champions panel happens at 1. Making a Statement, Breaking Barriers in Women's Running is 2 p.m. Celebrating Ted Corbett. And then at 4 p.m., we have Rebels, Bandits, and Chain Smoking. So that is a really, really fast rundown on everything. I will say I would pick what you want to do before you arrive. I wouldn't recommend just frequenting the expo and just going back and forth and tiring yourself out in the days leading up to it. I would pick what you want to do. Treat this kind of like if anyone's familiar with the 70.3 or the Ironman circuit, you can kind of get lost in the sauce of the expo a little bit, waste a lot of energy and just time up there. So similar suggestions here. Make sure you pick what you want to go to. If you have a group going to 1 or 2 things, maybe you pick something before, something after, so you can kind of maximize your time there and you don't spend a lot of time on your feet. Because that's the name of the game in the days leading up to the race. Scrolling down below, we have a list of exhibitors, and they're all located here in the Marathon Marketplace. There's way too many to list, so it's really, really fun time. There's lots of hidden gems out here. Make sure you do check it out at the Expo this year. So bib numbers, this is one of the links that we talked about earlier. The bib numbers, you can claim your own bib. Friends and family will not be allowed to pick up your own bib. We've already talked about where it's located, and additional information and rules are also over here. Please do not go back in any part of the race course and do not cross the finish line twice is a major, major one. Don't alter or fold the cover or reproduce the bib in any way, and you will get disqualified if you have duplicated the bib number or been the source of a duplicated bib number out here. You'll probably also get banned out here as well. Again, you can read up on some of this other stuff here, and we're going to keep on rolling here to keep this video kind of condensed and get you more info in less time here. Finish area. This is one of the links provided earlier on that race info section here. There's going to be a host of things. You scroll down here, you will see the finish. Before we do that, what's your plan? Highly, highly, highly recommend. Almost should be part of your race planning strategy is to come up with a post-race plan. Meeting your loved ones, friends, cheering squad, Sherpas, whatever, is very, very critical here. There's a couple different exits over here. So this is the finish line right here, and you will progress to the finish this way, this direction here. You can exit down here into the athlete, or not the athlete, the friends and family exit over here. These letters over here, they definitely mean something. That is you can meet by your last name, you can meet by your first name, and you can just meet at a random letter if you want to, which is, well, it was my always strategy there. You could tell them, hey, meet at the letter X on this place here, and your friends and family, whoever will be waiting there, or if you want to wait at the letter A or whatever, you can meet there. And that's a good plan of attack because sometimes things might not go perfectly well over the course of the race. You spend time in the med tents and you just need to take a little breather in the finish line area. I will tell you to not rush this process. A lot of athletes not recommend. A lot of athletes kind of regret rushing through the finish area here. I would say enjoy it. So once you get through here, you do get pushed through a little bit during this section here, but then it kind of like backs off a little bit. You got food, you got refreshments, you got all kinds of good stuff mixed in here. And I would kind of enjoy this area, catch up with your competitors, catch up with anyone else that's there, and just really relish the moments in there. Because after you get out, you're out, and then it's over. So, yeah, I would. That's another pro tip that I wish more people would just take advantage of. A lot of people will fly out of the finish area and just really get out of there, and then they'll head 3 or 4 blocks away, do their thing, marathon recovery, and go celebrate. And usually there's like, man, I wish I could stick back in there for just a little bit longer. So pro tip there. Also, I've said it before, but download the app. It's a way for a lot of people to just stay connected on race day. Gear check. We're going to fly through this one, but this is probably one of the more important ones for you to read leading up to it. Gear check. They're going to be very, very stringent on what is allowed and not allowed. They list what is in there. The clear drawstring bag measures 18 inches by 19 inches with a 5-inch bottom there. And it's not a flat bottom, it comes together like a bag. But gear check. On race morning, you could check the clear plastic bag at the finish line area, designated gear check-in areas at Boylston Street and Berkeley Street beyond the finish line. It's located 2 blocks east of the finish line and 1 block west of the Boston Public Garden. Drop-off hours are 5:45 to 9:15. That's going to be essential because you do have to get on a bus to go to the start line. Pickup hours 11:30 to 6 p.m. So again, you do have a load of time to kind of come back and pick up all your stuff. You must affix the label to your approved gear bag before handing it to the race personnel. And then no gear check bags will be allowed on the BAA shuttle buses to Hopkinton. So again, plan accordingly. Start area bag. The only bag allowed on the buses will be the 1-gallon bag. The bib numbers is distributed in that is provided in your number pickup at the Marathon Expo that you will have done in the days leading up to this on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And they would specifically state that no bags other than the plastic start area bag will be allowed on the buses to the start. So there are exceptions on the allowable and prohibited items page. Again, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Read that, please, please, please. Transportation to the buses here. So this is what you get when you click over to this page. Scroll down here. This is the bus loading area right here. This is the gear check, right? So it's all kind of connected. You'll do that, and you'll go over there, and then you'll click, and you'll go onto the bus loading station. The waves are associated with numbers on your bib here. So wave 1, that is numbers 201 to 8000. That is going to be wave 1, bus loading 6 to 6:45 a.m. Excuse me, I can say that clearly. Wave 2, numbers are listed there. 7:30 a.m. is bus loading. Wave 3 is 8:15 a.m. Wave 4 is 9 a.m. Um, again, they highly encourage you to take the provided transportation to the start line. It just minimizes all the traffic there. It minimizes all the parking and just the chaos there. Um, again, if you need to be dropped off at the Hopkinton on race day, you can be dropped off at the 52 South Street in Hopkinton and then board the shuttles to get to the Athlete Village area before the start. The final bus to the start line will depart at 9:30 a.m. All right, and again, this is our finish line area that we have already done. Our bus loading instructions located here. Parking in Boston, return bus service to Hopkinton located here. So there is a load of different options for you. Make sure that you figure out which one is the right for you. So the start area in Hopkinton. This is this is the one of the most stressful times during the race here. This is what will happen as you get there. But before we talk about this area here, when you're on the bus, the buses are you can be on a good bus, you can be on a bad bus, you can be on a really, really stressful bus. And in my mind, the two things that really happen are you get on a good bus where everyone's comfortable, they're kind of happy, they're really stoked to be there, and it's good vibes all on the bus. People are happy, there's talking, a little bit of noise, a little bit of chatter, and everyone knows what's about to happen, but they're okay with it. The other scenario is you get on a bus and it's a serious bus and everyone's silent, and it can really, really rile you up. If you do get on one of those silent buses where everyone's just locked down, I would just kind of get in your own little headspace and don't let it affect you. It will affect you, because it's only going to get magnified the second you get off the bus here. The stress is going to hit you big time. It's going to start about halfway through on the transportation shuttle bus, and as you get dropped off, the stress is only going to get amplified. So if you could take some necessary measures on the bus to just lower your anxiety a little bit, just lower that stress, that will go a really, really long way on race day because everything matters on race morning. Everything kind of adds up in your stress bucket here. Once you do get dropped off, this is going to be what you will be greeted with. A host of porta-johns here, and again, the shuttles here. We're not going to talk about everything here, but this is the direction that you are going to have to go in. It is a 0.7 mile walk to the corrals, the start line. So you're going to have a little bit of time to kind of get there. All right, the screening stations happen here, and if we scroll up, there's a couple other screening stations that happen there, with more porta-johns happening here, and this area is just going to get taken over and overrun by athletes here. When you get off the bus, everyone's going to be doing everything. Again, no one wants to show up to this race and just kind of get embarrassed out here. So everyone wants to put on, everyone's here for a reason. They want to show, they want to prove it, and they want to have a great race day. It's Boston. So when you get out here, everyone's going to be scattered around. Everyone is going to be doing their own thing. I would kind of find a little corner, a little area where you can kind of just relax a little bit. You can do your pre-race routine, get ready, get set. Bands are going to be your friend here for warming up. You're not going to have a whole lot of open space. And just kind of practice some of those pre-race warm-up routines without a whole lot of room to move around. Everyone is going to be stressed. There's going to be some jockeying for position out here. I wouldn't get caught up in the who's who of your corral. I would really, really kind of put your blinders on during this point in time here, and that's going to be very, very beneficial for you coming up here very, very soon. I would encourage you to kind of relish the moment here too. I talked about it for the finish line, and I'm going to talk about it at the start. Really, really, take a step back and don't be afraid to look around and just make some memories out there. Like you're out at the start, very, very few people get to experience what you're about to do. You're about to run the Boston Marathon. It's awesome. It's great. But this time can be a little stressful and it can really, really compound itself if you let it. Instead of, saying, oh my gosh, I'm about to start, I would just spin it on its head and say, I can't wait to start. This is so cool. This is the coolest thing in the world. And if you do that, I guarantee people around you are going to take note of it, even if you don't say anything, and they're going to start riding that same wave with you, that confidence train, all right? You're there for a reason. You don't need to stress out super, super much, okay? you're there. You earned it. You got it. You're doing it. Okay, you are doing it. So heading back over here, these are the runner corrals, or I should say waves, 1 to 4 out here. And again, the start times are listed in many places up here. And again, the Athlete Village, your starting corral is in the square box printed on your bib. It can be found on the number pickup card as well. Only official runners are allowed in the start areas. That's going to be these little gates here, these little screening areas. Um, and that's pretty much it. Be very mindful of who you are around. This is how the start times are going to be broken down with the military march starting at 6, wheelchair at 9:06, women's wheelchair at 3 minutes later. Hand cycles and duos at 9:30. Professional men kick off at 9:37. 10 minutes later, the women para athletes division starts at 9:55, and 10 minutes later, Wave 1 starts 10 a.m. 25 minutes later, Wave 2, 25 minutes later, 10:50. Wave 3, 25 minutes later, last wave. Wave 4, 11:15. Quick note, you can join the wave behind you. So say, for instance, you're in Wave 2, you can opt to start in Wave 3 if you so choose. What you cannot do if you are assigned Wave 2 is start in Wave number 1. So you can go back in your wave if you want. A lot of athletes don't choose to do this, but just know that the option is there. So if you are arriving a little late, um, you know, you do have the option to start at a later wave. So no big deal. Again, watch the stress out there and really see what is stressful. Is it a bummer that you're not starting in Wave 2? Yeah, but you know what? You're going to get to start in Wave 3. So don't really worry about that, all right? Unauthorized personnel or participants will be removed from the course, and there is going to be a participant shuttle in Hopkinton. There's also going to be Hopkinton spectator parking and volunteer parking as well. So with that, let's kick off to the race. This is our race course this year. It's the same race course as always is. It is what it is, and it is. This is the athlete profile here. This is the downward trajectory that you will experience, and we'll talk about that in a couple seconds. Scrolling down here, fluid replacement. You're going to have Poland Spring Water, Lemon Lime Gatorade, Endurance Formula stations. They're going to be located along the course beginning at mile 2, so you have to run at least 2 miles before you start getting some of that aid. The Morton Hydrogel, the Morton Hydrogel. That's going to be located in 3 spots. The first one at mile 11.8, and then the second one at mile 17, and the third one at 21.5. In my mind, all 3 of these are can't miss stations if you're not carrying any additional stuff with you, with the exception of mile 17 if you're feeling really good. But everyone races a little bit different. Everyone's needs are a little bit specific to them. So again, know what you are, who you are, and that's going to pay huge dividends later on. The gels, you're going to have the Morton Gel 100, that's the non-caffeinated, and you're also going to have the caffeinated. They're both going to be available, so you are going to have 2 options to choose from. The course clocks are going to be located every 5K, and there's going to be signage, indications, mile markers, 5K markers. So you're going to have the mile markers, and you're also going to have the 5K markers as well. Dropouts, make sure you head off to the nearest aid station, and that's going to be your place to kind of hang back and just wait for the sag wagon there. Course closures, this is going to be the areas that the marathon is running through. This is where the roads are closed from. So for instance, Framingham is going to be closed from 7:30 to 1:55 p.m. to local traffic. After that, they're going to open it up. And that's because you do need to maintain a 13:44 per mile average to finish this and not miss the cutoff time. So 13:44 is what you're shooting for. Or 13:43, I should say, per mile is what you're shooting for to be safe. All right, and that's all of that. So now let's dive into the course here. This is our course here. Starts the same spot, finishes at the same spot every single year. First couple of miles here, we're going to highlight these 4 miles leading into our race. When you initially start on this little parkour here, the road is a little tight at the beginning here. It will open up, things will spread out, and it's going to get a little easier to run. Anxiety, nerves, excitement, everything's going to be sky high for those first couple of miles here. And sometimes you might not be able to run your race. You might have to run the race with people you are around. So it's very important to watch where you are placing yourself in the corrals, or in the waves is a better word for you. If you do get trapped in a faster spot, you just kind of have to ride that wave a little bit, run off to the side, and let those faster athletes run through. These first 4 miles, yes, they're all downhill. You have, let's call it 390 feet of elevation loss with only 115 feet of elevation gain. So it is a little rolly, it's undulating. You can definitely see that in some of if you've ever watched the live coverages of the race, you can see it's a little chunky out here. But overall, it's a net drop out here, and what this means for a lot of people, for the best of the best of the best for the Boston Marathon, is they take this out way, way, way too hard. Way too hard. If you're running by power, watch the power. If you're running by pace, watch the pace. Heart rate can be a little misleading. It's probably going to be high. You're going to be nervous. All that good stuff that we listed earlier. So heart rate reading can be a little misleading. So just be careful with that. But the pace doesn't lie, the power doesn't lie out here. So make sure you are actively aware of those two things. And if you're feeling really, really good, I would treat this kind of like your first couple of marathons. If you have run a couple, probably have. I would back off a little bit out here. I would use these first 4 miles to get a groove, set yourself up for success. You're not throwing your race away. You're still going at a good little clip here, but if you find that you're going at superhuman speeds for you, I would back it down. Weather is going to be uncertain here. It could be 70 degrees. It could be 40 degrees and rain. It is a wash out here, so make sure you are tracking the weather in the days and the weeks leading up to it just to kind of develop a pattern out here. I would like to tell you it comes at a certain way, but it's Boston, comes at every single way. Wind could be swirling and yada, yada, yada. So first 4 miles, the big key is to hold back and to really just get ready for the day. And so after these first 4 miles, you'll notice we have our first little main riser here. So if we highlight this section here, this is a good little section because it does have 67 feet of elevation gain, covers about a mile and a half, and it has 65 feet of elevation loss. Here's that elevation loss that keeps getting plugged in here, and it's going to start to add up. But use this hill as a good little springboard effort-wise. This is going to be where if you have feathered that line of hard or too hard for those first 4 miles, this is going to be an area where you can kind of get some fatigue into the legs a little bit, kind of just run your normal style here. Most people don't run downhill for all this time, so use this hill as kind of a springboard. Again, effort should be up there, right? But it shouldn't be all out. It shouldn't be excessively hard out here. You're just trying to get a little different stimulus in the legs out here. You will find that you are going to catch people on this hill if you do it correctly, but you also want to track metrics such as heart rate and your cadence and all of that good stuff. Backing off, we're going to highlight the next two main sections here, and this goes all the way up to mile 15 and a half. This is, again, I keep saying it, it's another unique area out here because if you watch, you first go down and then you steadily climb from about 8.5 up to mile 11. Drop down from 11 to 12, and then at about mile 13, you steadily climb again, but you do have a little bit of a downhill as well here. And again, people fall into a trap here. They get to mile 5 and they say, whoop, I'm going to take this time to kind of eke some speed back. I'm going to get back all the time that I lost. I didn't have a great start, whatever it is. And that's a trap. That's a trap out here. Again, this is only the first 8 miles. You do have a lot of time left, and we haven't even gotten to the major parts out here. During this time, during these sections here, you are going to have to go up. If you look at elevation gain versus elevation lost out here, 295 to 325 over the course of this 10-mile stretch. This is the area where a lot of people have a lot of fun. This is where the most memories usually happen out here. And then the pain happens. But until we get to that section here, make sure you are fueling, make sure you're hydrating. A lot of athletes, by mile 5, they realize, holy crap, I'm at the Boston Marathon. I'm doing it. I am so jazzed up. And everyone forgets about the weather. They forget about their pace. They forget about nutrition. Make sure you're actively monitoring it. I wouldn't skip things if you're feeling super good. I would stick to your plan, and your plan is really hard to follow when you're around the best of the best out here. But I highly encourage you to stick to your plan, and you can deviate from it a little bit, but I wouldn't do anything major that you don't do in training right now. This stretch of road, in my mind, this is going to be where you kind of set yourself up for success. This is going to be normal running back here. This is going to be where you can kind of, get a sense of how good your legs are on race day. If you find that you're pushing the pace and you're starting to get a little crampy or whatever, again, we're finishing this section at 15 and a half miles here into our race. So there's still a good chunk of run left to go here. Um, And again, as we back out here and we highlight the next major section over here, finishing with Heartbreak Hill at the very top over here, this is going to be one of the points where our elevation gain is more than our elevation loss. Elevation gain is about 350 and elevation loss is about 290 out here. And this is going to be the first of the four hills. This is hill number 1, 2, 3, and 4. So just to mark that for you guys, that is hill number 1. Then you got hill 2, hill 3, and then the ever so famous Heartbreak Hill, hill number 4. And that's going to be the place where loads and loads of people will talk about and loads of people will warn you about. But what makes Heartbreak Hill so special is not the hill itself. It is hard, it is difficult, but it is the hills leading up to it. First, right at about 15 and a quarter miles here, you do have a great little downhill, and people absolutely fly down here. You haven't had a good sustained hill in a good long time, so people have forgotten about those first 4 miles. They've forgotten what just happened earlier, and they really take that opportunity to fly down this hill. I wouldn't do that here. I would not do that. I would get down this hill. I wouldn't really floor it here. Because the next thing that you got to climb up is about a half-mile hill. This half-mile hill will burn a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you. As you're going up it, you'll see that the elevation, it usually peaks, I think, at about 3.5%, maybe 5% in here. But it's a good little sustained climb, going from, let's call it 16 even, all the way up to about 16.6, maybe slightly beyond that. So a 0.6 climb. And again, it's going to feel not the best here. Most people can muscle through this. They'll just get through it, no big deal. And then you do have a downhill grade. This downhill grade is one of the more dangerous parts on the course. Those slight downhills, you do get a bit of speed. Maybe you'll get a little wind assist, and you just got to be very, very careful with that. Because you are going to climb that second one that we talked about. This one, a little bit steeper than the last one. 4.5% is what you're going to get here. And don't be afraid to walk this a little bit. Don't be afraid to kind of just take a step back over here. A lot of people, they get closer to the finish. This is like let's call it 17.8 miles into our race here. And a lot of people say, wow, I only got, so many miles left to go. I'm just going to muscle through this. I got this. I got this. It's Boston. Nothing can stop me. No way. And that'll be true for the second hill as well, for sure, if you've paced yourself. We do have a downhill, again, those steady downhills for extended periods of time here. We do have 18.17. That's where it starts. That finishes at 19.27. And so again, over a mile of sustained slight downhill. One of the race killers is right here. Form really goes away at this point in time. Your feet slide out in front of you. You start hitting the ground with excessive force here. Your quads start to absorb everything. Your core is on fire because you're stabilizing extra hard because you're doing that. And then you get greeted with hill number 3. Thank you very much. This hill is where a lot of people really start to feel it. We do cap out at about 5% for a couple seconds here. And you'll know how Heartbreak is going to go most times from this hill. There'll be some warning signs. If you see some lights lighting up on your dashboard, you need to slow down. You need to slow down. You get a little bit of recovery here, but it's not like the other two where you have that steady downhill grade for an extended period of time. You go up, you go down, and then it's right back up here. And that's why Heartbreak Hill is located right here. That's why it is so dangerous out here. It's not the hill itself, it's the hills before that really make it tough. And before we exit Heartbreak Hill, I just want to mention, if you do crack on Heartbreak Hill, your race is not over. Once you get to the top here, you have about 25-ish miles left, a little bit more than that. You have you have about a little over 5 miles to the finish line. And your race isn't necessarily over. If you're struggling, if you're cramping, walk, run, it's no big deal, right? But what a lot of people do is they hit Heartbreak Hill, they're cramping, and they just shut it down and they just kind of walk and just barely make it back in. I can't tell you how many times I've seen athletes just or just walking up to the finish line, just mentally shattered out there because of Heartbreak Hill. I would encourage you to get your stuff back together enough to make that right hand turn and run all the way to the finish line there. It is one of the best experiences ever. One of the best things in the world. So once you get to the top of Heartbreak Hill, you're going to know exactly how you're feeling. You're not cramping, you're feeling good. All right, all systems go. You got a little over 5 miles here. You still got a chunk of time to really, really cut into other people here. You're not going to save everything for this last downhill stretch here, but you're gonna save a little bit, enough to make it to that finish line. You should arrive at the finish line just shattered. Right, just you're barely making it there, and that is a perfect race execution there. If you arrive at the finish line and you're saying, "Wow, I had a great day, but I got a lot left in my legs. That's a little too much left on the table here," and you're going to be around the limit right at this hill, and that's why Heartbreak Hill is so critical on this race. You do highlight this section for everyone here. This last 5.3 miles, you do have 71 feet of gain, so all the hills are not over yet. You do have 290 feet of elevation loss, though. So um, it's great. It's awesome. This is one of the best sections of the race. As you get closer and closer, the noise just gets louder and louder and louder, and the experience just gets better and better and better. So that's our 2025 breakdown. These last couple of miles, watch your form here, but at this point in time, you're really not thinking about that. You're thinking about everything that led you to this point here. I've mentioned it a couple of times, but as you get closer, as you're running up Heartbreak Hill, as you're getting the miles are winding down here, I would encourage you to think about everything that got you to this point. You know, race day executions, all your training runs, all of that good stuff. And, really relish and live in some of those moments here. Realize that a lot of people strive to get here and never will, and you're one of those lucky few that got to do it and got to experience it. Even if the race didn't go how you planned, um, you know, enjoy it, live in it, relish it. It's a great day, no matter the weather, no matter the result. Um, so I just want to preface that with everyone and just say congratulations to you ahead of time. So 2025 Boston Marathon, that's our race breakdown this year. If you want more race specifics for you individually, please reach out to me. I'm happy to kind of give that to you and say how you should run it individually. This is just a general overview for you. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and good luck to everyone racing this year, guys.